everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're returning to a game that I've played a fair bit on the channel, and that's because there's a new DLC pack coming out for Unity of Command 2. Unity of Command 2 is a turn-based war game that is pretty easy to get into, in my opinion. It is, on the surface, looks very simple and approachable, but as you dig into it, it's actually pretty complex. And the DLC that is about to come out, it comes out on the 21st of April, is Barbarossa, which, as you would guess from the title of the DLC, expands the war into Russia in 1941-42 with the initial German drive and the subsequent Russian counteroffensives in the winter of 41-42. So basically this is going to take the German campaign, because this game's two DLCs so far have focused on the Germans, and begin in the beginning of the invasion of Russia, Operation Barbarossa. It has, I think, a 23 or so mission campaign that takes you through the invasion of Russia in 1941 up until the Battle of Moscow and then the Soviet counteroffensives in front of Moscow. The previous DLC pack for this was called Blitzkrieg, and that looked at the German attacks in Poland, France, the Low Countries, and the Balkans, and so this is sort of picking up where that DLC left off. Now, unfortunately, I don't think there's any way that you can bridge the two DLCs. As far as I'm aware, there's no ability to continue a Blitzkrieg campaign into Russia. And bring forth like your units and their experience and all of that. Your units do gain experience and you can use that throughout your own campaign, but it would be nice to be able to take the units, at least the divisions that did fight in those earlier campaigns, and bring them over to Barbarossa, but alas, that's not something that you get to do in this as far as I'm aware. I haven't seen any documentation that says you do. With that being said, let's jump in. Barbarossa, a clash of titans. The Third Reich and the Red Bear are at war, a conflict both view as inevitable, but for which neither is ready. The Soviet army is woefully unprepared for the pace of a modern war and still recovering from a disastrous purge of its best officers. Germany has operational dominance but critically underestimates the vastness of Russia, the severity of her winters, and the tenacity of her people. Yeah, and also, frankly, the vastness of the Soviet army as well, and the, yeah, anyway, let's just jump in. There's been a lot of Russian invasion games, by the way. We just had War in the East 2 come out, and now Barbarossa, Unity of Command 2 Barbarossa, and there's also Cauldrons of War Stalingrad, which is the second Cauldrons of War game, which is coming out, I believe, in the next week or so as well. Europe, 1941. Despite delays caused by our Balkan operations, OKH has ordered the invasion of Russia to go ahead in 1941. You will take the Red Army by surprise, and you must not let it regain its balance for an instant. Stalin's armed forces are large but incompetent, as their war against Finland proved. Strike hard and the campaign can surely be finished by September. Well, alright, so we get to start off with 5 cards here. This is, again, a game where you get, you fight a certain number of battles, and then you go to a campaign, or conference. Every conference you get new cards. You can use those cards in individual battles to give you different bonuses or things like that. So in this case, we're going to get Heinkel 111, so +1 theater asset for theater bombers. That does cost us 400 prestige, of which or 40 prestige, of which we have 400. If we are to sell these cards back between battles, we can actually get 20 of that back. But I am going to go with the +1 theater asset Heinkel 111 bombers. I'm going to go with both of those. I'm going to go with one Opel Blitz because I think having extra trucks is going to be really important. I'm going to take the free recon card, and then we're going to just go ahead and recycle this second recon card because I don't want to spend another chunk of prestige on it, or we won't do it. So we now have 295 prestige left. We're in our first conference before the first battle, and so we need to allocate that prestige to our different army groups that will give us different benefits or perks or capabilities during our invasion of Russia. So presumably there are going to be 3 different army groups, so actually more than that. It looks like there's HG Nord, Panzer Group 4, HG Mitte, PG2, PG3, HG Sud, and PG1. So we actually have 7 different headquarters. That's quite a few. I've never seen this many headquarters. in the game. Headquarters basically are the operational units that get assigned to different campaigns or battles. I'm not sure how those are going to be broken on. It looks like our first conference is going to consist of 3 battles here. I would assume HG Nord, Mitte, and Sud will be the 3 headquarters, but there's probably different panzer groups that are contained within those particular battles as well. Thanks for the follow, Seiko7711. So I don't think your cards carry over from the previous German campaign, Matt. I haven't seen anything that suggests they do. So I'm not sure how best to, I mean, we've got a fair amount of prestige. So I think one of the really important things is going to be range. So movement range for headquarters to keep ourselves supplied. I also think that bombardment is absolutely critical, and probably, I don't know if river crossings are super important or not. It does look like our panzer groups already have the build pontoon bridge and river crossing trait, which allows them to get across big rivers or attack across big rivers when you don't have a bridge. They also all have the bombardment trait, which will help us in breakthroughs against enemy units. Their movement range for their headquarters is relatively small at 5, so I think we're going to spend 75 prestige upgrading each one of them to 8. And we'll also do that to Panzer Group 1 here in the south. Let's see here. Now you can also use prestige before individual battles to buy like elite units or upgrade units or attachments to your different divisions to make them stronger. So we don't necessarily want to spend all of our prestige here either. We might need it in the first battle. Set piece attack does feel kind of important. Let's see what about our regular armies. They have bombardment, but they don't have river crossings. That's probably fine for the regular infantry. I almost never use the force pool stuff, so I don't want to spend money there. They're 10, 10, and 10. I don't know that we'll be using our panzers in set piece attacks a whole lot. An emergency supply is important, but it looks like we've got that for all of our units. So let's just do the range for everybody. Get that range up a bit. And then we'll save a very small amount. We'll save 45 prestige for the actual battles. I may have spent way too much on these army upgrades. We'll see. Thanks, Sean Mac. Commissar Vistu, thanks very much for the Prime sub. 7 months. Appreciate the support. That's a long time. Jack Porkins Red, thank you for the follow. Appreciate the support. So let's end that first conference. You can see here, it looks like we have 2 battles in the north in this conference or this campaign period, and then we have 1 battle in the south. So we've got Heergruppe Sud in the south, and then we've got Heergruppe Nord and Mitte in the north. So this is obviously Army Group North, along with Panzer Group 4, Army Group Center or Middle with Panzer Groups 2 and 3. This will probably be the largest of the battles, and then Army Group South with Panzer Group 1 and HG Sud. The first real big pocket occurred in the center of the front. I don't know if this is the drive to Minsk, but that's kind of the initial operation, the initial Kessel, where a large Russian front was surrounded, and over 200,000 Russians were taken prisoner. The main focal point of Operation Barbarossa lies with Army Group Center, with a panzer group placed on each side of an enemy bulge centered around Bylovsk. The scene is set for a grand encirclement. Army Group Nord is, although the smallest of the 3 German army groups, North still faces a daunting set of objectives. First on the list is to destroy the Soviet Northwestern Front while racing to cross the Dvina River. The aforementioned Soviet front is in competent hands, but spread thin and with little in the way of immediate reserves. And then Army Group South presumably has the hardest time, just because that's where the Soviets place the bulk of their troops, historically anyway. The Red Army has chosen to concentrate its largest striking power south of the Pripyat marshes. On paper, Army Group South will face some 3,700 Soviet tanks. In practice, the Red Army lacks the capability to keep these forces maintained and coordinate in action. Still, the German armies in this sector face the toughest task in Operation Barbarossa. I guess it sounds like Army Group Nord may have the easiest time, so let's go ahead and fight this battle here. Heeresgruppe Nord, June 22nd, 1941, the beginning of Operation Barbarossa. HG Nord and Panzer Group 4, 10-turned battle. And then we have bonus objectives of taking the Dagavpils crossing. I'm gonna butcher pronunciations here, guys. Anybody who's watched me for a while knows I'm bad at pronunciations, especially bad at Eastern Europe or Asia. So this is, as I said earlier, this is a DLC pack which comes out on April 21st. Campaign has over 23 battles. In Operation Barbarossa is the name of the DLC, and it's for Unity of Command 2, which is a turn-based sort of war game. The divisions of Army Group North await your orders. Your general objective is to annihilate the Soviet Northwestern Front. It is equally crucial that your forces reach and cross the Dagavina River before the Soviets can mobilize reserves and block such a crossing. Turns 4 and 5. You can expect smaller local counterattacks and a few air attacks, but these will doubtless prove to be mere nuisances. Do not hesitate. Do not hold back. The Red Army must be dealt a swift and deadly blow. Okay, so you can see here, this is our front. It's a relatively narrow front in this particular battle. You can see we've got to take the Dagavia River. We also have to take Riga, which is a key city on the Baltic here. And then secondary objectives of Liepāja, Kanus, Japils Crossing, and Dagavpils. We have to take these by turns 5, the crossings by 5 and 6, the towns by 4 and 6. We have 10 turns total. It'll be interesting to see how challenging they make the logistics here. The invasion of Russia was a logistical feat. The Germans didn't have enough trucks. They ended up seizing trucks that they got from the French during the French surrender and using those trucks to support their invasion of Russia, because they were so short-handed, and they were using like civilian vehicles to try and drag supplies east. It was a disaster. Also complicating factors, which I assume the game won't model because it hasn't done things like this in the past. But the Soviet rail network used a different gauge of track than the German gauges, and so the Germans really had to like try to rapidly change the gauge on the railways, and it was just a disaster. I don't know, Matt. If anybody else is having any audio issues, let me know. Let's see here. What do we want our initial attack to focus on? The Russians seem a little bit spread out. Riga's out here. So there's 2 objectives, one to the east, directly to the east, one to the north. I think we can use these panzers and motorized groups to race across the countryside here to try and cut the river and pick up the rail line here, while we push this infantry group east on Kaunas and then try and take the city there. The important thing, though, is going to be taking this town and this railway so we can push supplies up along this railway and then west to meet up with the army, because we can only carry supplies so far over open country. And one of the other things that I do think they got right is you can see the Soviet road network is not very well established. You can see roads, but they're all these little dirt paths. We have very few paved roads down here, and that does influence how far you can push trucks and supplies out. So we'll probably push some of these border depots forward. In fact, let's do that now. We're going to go ahead and push a depot up here. We're going to push a level 3 depot. We're going to put all of our trucks here in this forward position to try and push our depots as far forward as possible to start. Meanwhile, we've got a pretty good, I mean, most of our units here are pretty well strengthed up. Even our tanks here have some engineers already. I don't have a ton of prestige to spend on new stuff. We could try and get some of these guys. Well, these are already elite, so I don't know that I'd want to increase their blue steps here because that'll decrease their experience. But we might want to like give some of these infantry units that don't have any specialists some artillery. It looks like I can only afford one artillery. So we'll do that for this border unit. And that's all I can spend. So let's go ahead and jump in. It looks like the Soviets get some reinforcements on turn 4, nothing till then. So otherwise they just start with what they have on the map. All right, so I'm gonna assume my armor will be able to crush these Soviet troops on the border pretty easily. That may be a dangerous assumption. These guys are regulars, but they've got artillery support and they're dug in. Maybe not. God, 0-2, 1-1. All right. We also get flying artillery, which lets us hit fixed positions pretty hard. Let's just use our tactical air against these Soviet troops in these woods. Do 3 support damage here. I feel like I'm gonna need this tactical air in the future battles, but I'll use one of them on in this battle. All right, this infantry has a little bit less in the way of quality behind it, so they're veterans, but they don't have any like heavy equipment with them. Raise this armor east, hit him at a 0-2 and breach. Infantry will push up into that woods, overrun these guys, and push west and finish them off. So we've broken through here on the front. This is a key objective in my opinion. We'll stage out of here to drive on both Riga and Dugovina because of the rail line. In theory, we could get to Riga, push across the river, and then come down that northern bank of the river into the rear, but I don't know if that's really feasible. This is gonna be hard. There's no good roadways over here or railways. We really might need to go to Riga first. All right. Well, it gives me a 0-2, so I'll just do that attack. We hit the overrun, we push them right back. Let's pull one of our mechanized forces along this railway to keep that attack going. Okay. A 0-2. We didn't really have much success with that initial attack there. They're proving to be stubborn. Soviet troops stubborn? No. All right, we breached and drove them back. Just trying to expand this bridgehead here. I don't know. I mean, it feels tempting to shift my focus south of where I initially intended to drive and go along this railway. Alright, so we detected some enemy armor over this way. We'll go ahead and hit him. It looks like it might be like a shock division or something, because it's not... It wasn't just armor, it had infantry with it. Wow, so we took some casualties there, but we did get a pretty good result. This infantry will just drive north on the objective. Taking some casualties here. Just trying to secure my flank by hitting these guys nice and hard. While we drive with the rest of these troops north on the secondary objective. Got to make sure the enemy can't just easily cross over and take out my supplies. Unfortunately, none of my armor seems to be able to reach this enemy armor, which means they're probably going to get a nice counterattack in on me. So I'm going to shift those mechanized troops to the south. I think the one thing that may hurt us is there's a bunch of bridges here the enemy could definitely destroy. That could slow our progress. Don't really want to attack those enemy troops with my armor, though. Right, let's move. We should start moving our headquarters forward right away. Or maybe not. I don't know. We're already like outside the range of our Panzer Group headquarters. Dude, we don't even get any reinforcements in this battle. I don't think there's any bridges I can prevent them from blowing here. I think they're going to blow all of them. Maybe this one won't get blown, but I think it probably will. So actually to that point, I need to move a headquarters forward so they can cover these bridges. So this guy can repair this bridge right away. Panzer Group 4 probably should move forward to support the main drive here in the center. So they'll be able to get that bridge up and running pretty much right away. Panzer Group North, I think, will shift along this railway here to support the drive over here, although it will take it out as supply for these guys driving on this coastal objective. I think that's everybody. Don't want to attack there. Forgot about this armor. So I can cross this bridge, and I think that'll prevent them from blowing this bridge here. What's the supply situation look like? Everybody should still be in supply this next turn because of moving those depots forward. Can I pull this depot back? Yeah, these guys will still be in supply. So it'll give me one truck back that I can push forward next turn. But I can't get anybody up to Kunis by itself, unfortunately, so that bridge will get blown. But at least the central bridge here, we're across the river. And actually, if we... well, maybe they'll get supply off map here. I was going to say maybe if we take this railway here, we'll cut their supply along this whole front, but I don't think that's true. I'd do recon, but at this point it doesn't really matter because I can't move any more units, so we'll go ahead and move forward to the next turn. Alright, so the Russian armor comes in, counterattacks against our mechanized force here, cuts these two lead elements off, and does quite a bit of damage to the head of that column with a pretty aggressive counterattack here. Although they didn't actually kill a lot of units, they did disable them and cut them off from supply. So we'll have to get them back They didn't blow any bridges? Interesting. All right, so what do we want to do here? So these guys are going to set piece attack here to breach their defenses. And it drives them back. We're going to want to counterattack these troops. What are these? Motorized? Okay. Set piece and drive these guys back. Got to clear that flank and that rail line. But I also need some of these other troops. Well, they're surrounded now. We could finish them off, but let's wait on that. Okay, so these troops on the other side of the river are concerned, but I really think the main thing is clearing these two divisions on the western side. I can probably do that here. So let's attack with our infantry, get a 0 to 2. Armor down here, get a 0 to 2. We actually killed 3 of them. Can we do emergency supplies? We can. We'll cross the river with these troops here, get a 0 to 2. Kill and an overrun. These guys up east. Okay, these guys who are dug in are a little bit of a concern. And take these prisoners. All right, so we drove these enemy troops back, or actually we destroyed that division. Eyes on what's up there. Yeah, they got troops up there. But we've got till turn 6 to take that. I'd rather solidify my position down here. Put these guys in the woods, pull this guy back to prevent a flanking attack, and Memel. Hold the line in the north there. We nearly destroyed this enemy motorized force. What do I want to use my air on? I don't know. Question is, do we want to destroy this motorized force or weaken this Soviet tank unit? I'm going to go with weaken the Soviet tank unit. Our air did nothing against it. So we attacked it and drove it back. We also damaged that mechanized force further. I'll pull these tanks back slightly. Oh, crap. They advance there and then blow that bridge. Wish I could undo that. I didn't realize I left this unit stranded with no one guarding the bridge. Fuck. Everybody's still okay on supply up there, though. Infantry knock that enemy force out. Hopefully they can't move in and take this supply depot. That's a bit of a concern if they can move west and that far and take it. Can I guard that with anything? I don't think any of my troops can reach there. Is there a forced march or something option? I don't know if I have that trait. I'm just worried they can sprint to the west. They might not choose to. They might not have the zone of control to do that, but it could cripple our offensive if they do. I'm wondering if they'll pull back from Kunis now that we're within a hex of it, if you will. Well, let's go ahead and end this turn. I don't want to deploy that last truck until I figure out what happens here this turn. Okay. They attacked and overran my infantry there near Memel. At least the infantry there did some damage to the armor. Right, they didn't actually counterattack that bridge and the unit that was isolated, so that's good. Okay. Good news. All right, so Kunis is our objective. We have to take it by turn 4. So let's hit this armor in front of the town. We actually did quite a bit of damage with our air attacks there. Mechanized forces attacked there. So I'm going to use flying artillery against it because it is a fortified hex. It does destroy the town, but it does put the enemy troops, does damage them a lot. Not enough. God damn it. Well, that wasn't great. We finished off this isolated division on the flank. Frees up a bunch of our troops to push. I'm gonna have some artillery opposite Kunis so we can try and maybe do a set piece attack against this enemy fortified city. I should have waited for the flying artillery until I knew I was gonna attack that turn. Infantry will attack these guys here with artillery and they'll do some damage. Attack that mechanized force. Destroy it. We'll try and swing behind these guys and maybe form a bit of a encirclement, maybe? Or at least threaten them with encirclement. Hey, we encircled them. We've got our own little pocket going here. We'll see what the enemy counterattacks with. Okay. So we've got one of their armored divisions and 2 infantry divisions surrounded in a pretty flimsy pocket with this Totenkopf SS motorized division that moved north. The Soviets do get a bunch more reinforcements next turn, though, so I don't know how useful that'll be. Let's also drive this armor south here to finish off this armored division here. All right, everybody, that's going to do it for my first look at this upcoming DLC pack for Unity of Command 2. I know we're in the middle of a battle here. I'll do my intro over the same recording you've already seen, so that way you won't miss any of the action in the next video. But each one of these battles is a little bit long for its own standalone video, so we'll have to pick things up in our next video. Until our next video, this is the Historical Gamer saying once again, I hope you guys did enjoy the video. Let me know your thoughts down below. Definitely interested in hearing what you guys have to say. But until next time, this is the Historical Gamer saying once again, thank you very much for watching. And until next time, I'm out.